I got to circle back to something you said earlier.
Oh, God. Do I have to remember what I said?
No, I'm going to bring it up. You talked about the guys who make recordings and albums, and maybe they don't sell at all. And then what do they do? What do they do next? They make another album.
Yeah.
And then what do they do? And I think there's this thing with art, and especially music, very specific to music, that you have to do something.
Sure.
That something has to be successful. That you have to, if you make an album, you have to sell an album. And if you don't sell the album, then that work is not worthy. If you did not get a record deal,
Right.
that is not
Right.
worthy. Most arts don't think of their art like that. You paint a picture, you go, that's pretty. And nobody wants to buy it, and you hang it on your wall and you go, I did that. But I think with music, there's this weird thing that people think they have to do something with it rather than just go, I recorded that. I made that. We just played the show.
Yeah.
I don't care who showed up. Wasn't this fun?
Well, that still goes on. I mean, it still goes on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's hard to feel unsuccessful. That's a hard.
It's always been easy for me.
Yeah, well, maybe you should write a book. You know, it's hard. It's hard to work at something. Like all these songwriters, like I do tons of sessions for songwriter people here, none of whom are famous.
Yeah.
I would say 8 out of 10 of them are pretty good, and 2 out of 10 are really exceptional. And they record demos and work on their songs and have been doing so for years and haven't sold anything. And I go, that has got to be unbelievably frustrating, because you play people's tunes and you go, how is this not getting picked up?
Right.
You know?
I've played on some of the greatest albums
Yeah.
in the 21st century
Yeah.
that nobody's heard.
I know. I know.
Isn't it befuddling? How does it
It's-
not break someone's heart?
Well, I'm sure it does, but this is kind of coming back to what I said. Like, you got to let all that go. You know, you can't live your whole life like that, you know, waiting for some sort of external acceptance for what you do. I mean, you know, you got to just do it. And somewhere along the line, maybe, you know, you connect with an audience that is willing to buy your stuff, and, you know, and then you have other bands that are just ridiculously successful. I mean, you know, you look at, you know, the Rolling Stones. I mean, but I don't look
The
at
Rolling...
Yeah.
Can you spell that?
You know, like, you can't look at them and go, well, I didn't do that, so I'm a loser.
But a lot of people do.
Well, they
And
need to let that go,
Yeah.
because that's an unrealistic
I don't play
comparison.
like Jimi Hendrix. I
Yeah.
don't play like, you know,
Yeah.
Elton John.
Yeah.
You know,
You got to
And-
let that go,
yeah.
because otherwise it's extraordinarily frustrating for
So
people.
instead of having that mentality, what mentality should they have?
They should do the best work that they can, given the circumstances that they find themselves in. Like I said, you know, for people that have families and careers outside of music, you know, your responsibilities are huge, man. You can't, well, you know,
Yep.
right? You know, you can't just do whatever you want.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Right.
You know, like, I can do whatever I want,
Right.
but you can't do whatever you want. So I'll have to do it enough for the both of us.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
But, you know, you go, I love playing the guitar, so I'm going to go home today after work and I'm going to play my guitar. That's my relaxation. That's my get away from my world and do something completely different, you know. And that's what you got to be content with, you know. That's part of the action, you know. It's not bad. I never think it's bad. I'm serious. Like, I'm envious of people that are serious hobby musicians, because I think that they enjoy music more than many professional musicians do.
It's almost like when your passion becomes your vocation.
Right.
You'll lose a little bit
Exactly.
of that.
The innocence of it all.
Yeah.
You know, just that sort of, oh my God, I figured out this chord. I can't believe it. This is the
Yeah,
greatest
but
day
I
of my
think
life.
I do think we still must have a little bit of it, because
Oh, yeah.
as you said, one of the things you enjoy doing
Yeah.
is figuring things out.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so there is that nugget. But how does one keep it? Because, well, let me back up a little bit. Obviously, we're envious of people who can just enjoy it and play and not worry where their next meal is coming from because it's sorted out, or they can play the music they want to play
Sure.
and maybe
That's a
not
big
do
one
some
too.
lame
Yeah,
gig.
that's a big one too.
Right? But so we're all envious of each other because those guys are going, oh, I wish we could do it for a living.
Well, I think a lot of those guys, you know, they would give anything to be able to get on stage with a great band and play just once in their life, to feel what that feels like, you know, because that's where it all started from for a lot of them. You know, that's why a lot of these things like these, you know, rock and roll fantasy camps are so huge. You know,
They give people the chance.
They give people the chance to stand there with whoever it might be.
Yeah.
I don't know, Roger Daltrey.
Yeah.
You know, and Roger Daltrey's going to sing this Who song, and I'm going to play John Entwistle's bass part, and then I'm going to die and go to heaven because that's about all I ever wanted to do. And then they have the same thing for everything else. Like they have baseball camps and they have tennis camps, and they get all these people to come.
Meet the pros.
And you get to, you know, bat the ball around with John McEnroe, who you used to watch on TV when you were a kid. And now, oh, there he is. Like, this is so cool, you know. So you got to, you know, you have to let go of the fact that being successful, and by successful, I mean, I guess sort of financially successful at what you're doing, define what you do, because there's a very good chance that it won't. You know, that's just not going to happen. You know, you run a music school, you play bass, you do gigs, you've done gigs, you've worked, you know, all of those things together make a career, you know.
Yeah, it's like going fishing.
Exactly.
All the different lines in the
and
water.
most people never get to that point even.
Yeah.
You know, they're in their basement, like, you know, jamming out with an album, and then all of a sudden they'll have a friend who plays guitar, and now I'm jamming out with my friend to an album.
Yeah.
And then one day, like, some drum guy shows up and he goes, well, oh man, we got a band. Like, finally, I'm 90 years old and I finally get to go play Crossroads in a bar.
Right.
You know?